Hello. It's been a little while since I did a little check-in. Just going to do a quick review of how these have held up over the last year and what I've broken and what I've replaced and what I've changed and all that. So let's get started. So I have two of them. The black one, call it Cozy Tofu. So it used to have a 8.6 body and it's a little easier to drive. And this one is Spicy Tofu because it used to have an 8.6 body and it's got a little faster motor. So just a quick little overview of this one. So first I got these basher bodies, got these 3 or 4 months ago, and these are awesome. This is such a good investment. These are gonna last longer than any other part on the truck. Well worth it. Not the most realistic looking, obviously, but they're so tough. Make sure you degrease this really well and use a heat gun or a hair dryer to put these stickers on. Even still, they start to peel off a bit, but you can get new sticker packs and replace them. And I did have to trim these a little bit to fit the MT. I had to cut out this back piece here and this front piece and then trim out the wheel wells a little bit, and then it fits fine. Definitely worth getting. I would go through a body, once a month, just destroying them. And these are awesome. The only downside with these is they're a lot heavier. So it does put a lot more stress on all the other components, but so far it's been pretty good. So anyways, has a 2600 kV motor, quick run BL60 basic ESC. This is basically the same ESC that comes on the stock one, and similar motor, but it's a lower kV. The stock motor is a 3300 kV. Both of these I bought as brushed versions and then just immediately took all the electronics out, put in new servos, just the Amazon specials, which have been just fine. Yeah, the BL60 in here with that one. And on Spicy Tofu, because Spicy Tofu is spicier, on this one I got the Hobbywing Max10. I used to have the 3200 kV Hobbywing motor, but the bearings burnt out on that, and so I have a Rocket 3200 kV in here now. These Rocket motors work really great. I have a couple of them, and they're actually much easier to replace the bearings on than the Hobbywing motors. So I would recommend going with the Rockets and get a couple of the extra bearings. Uses the same size on the front and the back too, which makes that easier. Anyways, this Max10 setup with this motor is perfect for this truck. It works so good. It's got plenty of power. It fits in here really nicely, obviously. Never had any problems with heat. Yeah, this is the setup I would recommend. 12 or 13, maybe 14 tooth pinion if you want to go crazy. 14, it's probably going to start overheating. 11 tooth pinion is fine, but it's really slow. 13 is what I run on these, and it works great. The servo on this one's a little bit better. It's a 9i mod, much smoother than those Zosuke, and they're not much more expensive, and you can replace the gears on these 9i mods. So those are what I use for everything now. They work really great. So right now, Spicy Tofu is broken. You can see, hopefully this view is good. I broke this bulkhead right off here. This is the first time I've ever done this. That's a new one. It might have just been a really flat landing because I had some really bad flat landings in the last video. Or it could have been if it hit this wheelie bar from this direction really hard. And even with this like this, you can just pop it back in and drive it around and it'll fall out. And I drove it around until the battery died. It's one of the awesome things about these. They run forever. I've been running the stock wheels on them. The stock wheels work really well. Only downside with these is the tires are pretty flimsy, so eventually they start to get tears in them. I've run some different ones. I've tried these Proline mashers. These are good, but this tread doesn't work in the snow at all. You get no grip with this at all. But I'm gonna put these on and run them in the summer some more because I haven't had a chance to yet. I was running these cheapo paddle tires for a little while and they're kind of fun, but they're not great. It would work better on a short course. These monster truck style wheels, these are the best. Or if you want a different feeling, these tall, skinny short course tires make them feel totally different. They're jumpy and kind of, for fun, this is great. Hard to do flips and stuff because they don't have the momentum and the inertia you need to flip them around, but It's a fun change of pace. Anyways, show you everything I've changed. Obviously, I swapped out all the electronics. I didn't do a lot of mods really. So one of the things here, this is pretty important, some kind of reinforcement in this front bumper, because otherwise it only has these little bars right here to support it. And when you hit it from the front, it'll break these bars. Any part you need for this, you can't really buy individually. They all come in kits that have a whole bunch of other parts, which is nice, but it makes it a little more expensive each time you got to get something until you get sort of a backlog of parts. This is some, you know, aquarium tubing. That seems to work good. Some really stiff foam, something like that. Put some foam under here that basically comes up to the same height as these body posts, and that'll help support the body. And it'll keep the body in better shape, but more importantly, it will keep these pins from getting torqued on when you're landing, and you won't break these. I went through 2 or 3 of these right away when I first got these trucks, added this foam, and I haven't broken one since. Obviously, the basher bodies help with that too because they can't flex or move, so it just ties the whole thing together and makes it really rigid. RPM arms, of course. The original arms break pretty quickly. Maybe they've changed the plastic at this point, but get a set of RPM arms and then either replace them right away or wait till you break them and then do it. I have broken this arm on the front bulkhead twice, and once I also broke the inside piece of the bulkhead. So those are some good ones to have on hand. I've broken a couple of these camber links. One day at the skate park, big bad flat landing on concrete, broke both the links on one side of one of them. And then of course this bulkhead. Cozy Tofu hasn't really broken anything except for the wheelie bar. My brother launched this off and went totally flat on hard pack to the wheelie bar and snapped the wheelie bar off. The other thing that was happening with Cozy Tofu last summer, the ESC was getting so hot that the actual solder in these motor wires melted. Now that I've resoldered them, no more heat issues with that. Spicy Tofu here with the Max10 was breaking rear drive shafts every time I went out. Never happened on this one. At first I thought it was because maybe I had, you know, too high of a wheel speed. So I put on a smaller pinion, went down to an 11-tooth pinion, still broke them. Finally got in touch with Team Associated and let them know what had been going on. At that point I had broken, I think, 7 drive shafts within the first month and a half. And they sent me a whole rear clip, like a new rear differential with a new housing and everything. And I swapped that out. Haven't broken one since. So there was something in the alignment with that housing or something that may have been throwing it out of whack. Maybe I was just driving really badly in that particular month and have gotten better since. But anyways, the point of it is Team Associated had some good customer service. I'm in Canada. I emailed them and 2 weeks later I had the part. It was crazy. And it's been fine since. So we'll see what happens after I have to replace everything again now that this is broken. I also added in some extra lights, which are falling out right now, but these little amber lights. Drill out these holes and add lights in there. And that's all I've done really. They come with a little bit heavier diff oil in the front than in the rear from the factory, and that's how I like it. Heavier in the front, light in the rear, heavy in the center. I tried earplugging the center diff, and that was when I was breaking the drive shaft, so I was worried that was contributing, but I don't think it actually was, and I may go back and do that, but I haven't felt the need to yet. It's heavy enough, it's fine. Like they'll wheelie and backflip and they have no problem. So anyways, my verdict after a year of running these really hard, beating the hell out of them, jumping off stuff, giving them to random people and letting them drive constantly, little kids, whatever, and they've handled pretty much everything. Once I put the basher bodies on and took them to a concrete skate park, they did break a little more frequently, but that's because there's so much more weight from those bodies. But otherwise, I think these are awesome. I'm still totally happy with them. I would recommend them to anybody. For a beginner, I'd say get the brushed one. Drive the brushed one till you get sick of it or break the motor or something, and then put in a brushless setup. 3S, 32, 33, maybe 35 to 3600 kV if you wanted to get a little crazy, but I think 32 to 33 is the sweet spot for the motor. 12, 13, maybe 14 tooth pinion. The stock wheels are a very similar one. Add those nice blocks into the bumper, get the RPM arms, and you'll be good forever. Just get, you know, get a couple camber links and whatever, just replace whatever else when you break it. They're easy to work on, they come apart nicely. Yeah, so that's what I say. They're good, they're still good. It's a perfect little unit. Oh yeah, another little weak spot though is the sway bars. I broke the sway bar length nubs off all of them on this immediately, but Cozy Tofu of course didn't and still has them. I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but you know, you buy two of the same thing. One of them I keep kind of simple. This is supposed to be the mellow one, you know, the easy one that's you can let other people drive. And then one that's like your baby. You put all the best stuff into it, make it as fast and as strong and everything as possible. The fancy one is the one that always breaks, right? Like I'll go out, Cozy Tofu, that's why it's cozy. It just goes. It's easy. It has no issues. It's fine. You just sit down and it's cozy. This one is like, it might snap back at you and break and kick itself off a cliff, or who the hell knows. So let me know if you've had a similar experience where you build a basic simple one for your kid or for your partner or whatever, and then you got your little fancy one. The fancy one breaks. Anyways, that's that. Be more videos with driving around next week, maybe, probably. Got a little project for the crawler, got some nice little parts here for that. That should be fun. So anyway, so let's get this fixed. Slap those new parts in there, maybe make a couple other little updates, and I'll show you how that looks. All right, all done. Pulled out the broken piece. This was the only piece that was actually broken, just these little ears. But when it broke off, it had a little gap, and so there was that gap. It got completely full of sand, so I had to do a lot of cleaning and ended up replacing all the bearings. And while I was at it, I replaced the bearings on the center diff because they were pretty much done also. Anyways, got these wheels on, and there's a couple things I forgot to mention that I also did with these. Got these spacers. They're pretty minimal. I think they're 12 mil spacers, just to give it a little bit more width. Really helps the stability. So I would definitely recommend doing that. It does put a little more stress on everything, but I haven't actually noticed a problem yet. Another thing that has been working out. So the body post mounts break pretty easily. This right here is pretty thin and flimsy. And I broke one, didn't have any replacements, so was waiting for them to get here. So I decided to try this out. Basically, this is a piece of PEX tubing. Cut it, marked where the body post needed to be, drilled holes in there, then just zip tied it around this shock mount so it can move a little bit. But it's been working for 6 months now with no problems, and I just put these small zip ties here to keep it from sliding back and forth. I got replacements and I haven't had to actually use them yet because this goes in there, and then you got to push it up a bit because of the foam, but works fine. So yeah, little hack. And on this one I also have those spacers in the front here, a little bit wider. I think these are 15 or 20 mil. And then on the other one, because they're heavier wheels and it just goes faster, put it a little narrower. So that's what's up. So that's the rival MT10s after a year. Still love them. Broke a few things, but nothing too excessive for what they've been through. Yeah, I would recommend them for anybody. They're a great starter, they're a great basher. I would buy 2 of these cheap ones rather than something really expensive because it's way more fun to drive with someone else. Oh, one last little tip. So these Arma body retainers are awesome. I love these, I use them on everything. One of the things that sometimes happens though is the rubber piece on the bottom rips off. What you can do though is if you just use your body reamer to poke a hole through the center of this and then get a nice small screw that has a head bigger than the hole, obviously, and then just jam that into the rubber and it'll thread its way in. I've done that on 3 of these and they've lasted for a few months. So yeah, little way to reuse those if you got some broken ones around. Anyways, that's that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, whatever. Let me know what you've done to your MTs. I heard M2C just released nice aluminum, well, these are all aluminum, but higher quality aluminum pillow blocks, or whatever you call these things, pill blocks. Beef that up a little. And I think they got a carbon fiber motor mount too from M2C, which is probably a good thing to do, because if you can see, this aluminum one has got a bit of a bend in it already from all the motor weight hanging off there. So that might be the next upgrade I do. It's a really easy one too, because there's not much to it. Anyways, that's that. This is way too long. See you later.